Hey everybody, it's Z here with another edition of Six Pack Productions. To start, just going off the last video, I either have the worst timing in the world or the best timing in the world, because just a couple days after I start to talk about the Bumble commercial that's being planned and that's already been teased, featuring Serena Williams, and what I thought were some weird gender dynamics and a message that didn't make sense, Gillette just said, "Hold my beer," and decided to drop a bombshell. I thought about making a video on that and ultimately decided that that's pretty much been done to death at this point. Come out with a little writer's block on how to approach it, and I feel like I'd be way too late to the party. But who knows? Maybe my first video will turn out to be a trendsetter when that Super Bowl commercial drops featuring Williams. No, though. Today, I'm going to take things in a slightly different direction, because since the first video, I wasn't entirely sure the direction I wanted to take the channel. And right now I think I have a pretty good idea. I'm going to break things down at the end, but for now we're going to dive right into current subject matter, which is something that's been concerning me more and more as I've gone through my occasional dives down internet rabbit holes, be it on YouTube, Reddit, those two probably being the biggest two, and any community really that is geared towards men, in particular men's issues, men's needs, gender dynamics. There's different words for it depending on where exactly you go. Some would say it's the manosphere, some red pill, but there are some attitudes that have been popping up that are concerning me a little bit. Not that I think anyone is at risk of harm or anything, but I do think it's going to steer some guys in the wrong direction who come to these places with the fundamental question of, how do I achieve happiness in terms of my romantic life? Whether that's hooking up with a lot of girls, whether that's finding one woman that could be a possible wife down the line, whatever your goal is, that's up to you. But I think some pretty bad info is being put out there, and I'm going to throw my hat into the ring. Who am I? Look, I'm not going to go through my entire life, but the real basic is that I was a guy who was another awkward nerd through his childhood and teen years. Didn't really bloom into anything more than that until college age, early 20s, and learned a few lessons along the way that might be able to help some people so that they don't take as long as I did to figure shit out. And right now I think that potential is being wasted. There are other people who are much better at this than I am, at meeting women, they're more disciplined than I am, they're better looking than I am, they are more experts in different fields. But now, in an attempt to sort of market things in a new way to a new generation of men who I think are getting a little bit jaded in the dating game, it's well-intentioned but misguided. So I'm going to go for the next few videos of some fallacies, or what I at least think are fallacies, and I'll present the arguments for men who are trying to give advice to other men. And this first one I'm going to call, I was trying to think of a good name, but I'm going to go with fake self-actualization. So self-actualization, it's a concept derived from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This basic concept, it was a diagram in a triangle, sort of designed like the old school food pyramid, and the premise was that you started out with really basic needs like food and shelter, and then gradually worked your way up until you reached the pinnacle, which was self-actualization, where you were just doing things because you wanted to do them, and there was no actual real physical or even psychological need to be met. It just seemed like a fun idea. And now where that's going is that if any guy says he wants to do something in order to be more attractive to women, people will come out, and the nice people will say that, oh, it's flawed to... I'll use working out, that's a really good example. If a guy were to ask, if I want to get a better looking physique in order to meet more women, what should my training program look like? People will come out of the woodwork and say, oh, that's terrible. You're trying to get all your validation externally. You need to just work out for yourself because it makes you happy. You can't even think about the possibility. Like, come on, guys. Come on. If you think that anyone's going to the gym for self-actualization, for some type of enlightenment, it's a fucking joke. Alright? People are there for basically some combination of 3 reasons. To become healthier, to look better, and the fringe answer would be to gain more confidence just by overcoming the challenge. Look, I think they're all valid. I don't think that one has to be placed above the other. If some guy wants to do that because he wants to get laid more, let him do it. As long as he's lifting with good form and he's not injuring himself or acting recklessly in the gym, there's nothing wrong with engaging in a completely rational behavior, regardless of a motivation, barring something that, might signify like a mental health concern, like he's lifting so that he can fight the aliens that are trying to sneak into his room at night. That's a whole other set of problems. No, the motivation should not be that critical. And the reason this connects to self-actualization is that Maslow's hierarchy of needs is not a hierarchy of a better reason to do something. So the 5 tiers of that pyramid are physical needs at the base, food, water, shelter. Then feelings of safety and security. The 3rd need is social, the need to feel accepted by a group. The 4th level is the ego, the need to stand out within that group. And then finally is self-actualization, for no other reason than that's your desire. But just because you're doing something because you just want to do it doesn't make it better or purer or healthier than if you're doing something for that ego need. If it's the same activity. We'll keep with that example. If you're exercising because you want to look good and stand out in a crowd, the results are still overall good. And so you got to be a little consequentialist about it. And that's where this sort of perversion of the philosophy is coming into play, is that people are acting as if the higher up on that hierarchy, the superior that person's motivation and attitude on the matter is. It's simply false, and you're going to end up dissuading men, and look, this applies to women too. Anytime a woman says that she's taking a pole dancing class to feel better about herself, or because she just wants to feel free, that's dumb, and we have to be willing to call that out. Pardon me. I assure you that cough was not intentional. So yeah, if you want to do something, the only time that I would say that you don't want to do something for the sake of increasing your appeal to your preferred type of sexual partner is if it's something that would be actively unhealthy for you in any way. Like if you are making minimum wage, if you're making, depending on where you are in the country, if you're making like $8 an hour and you want to move to one of the most expensive cities in the country like Chicago or New York in order to meet more women and be able to go out and game more, when you couldn't even afford rent, yeah, that's a problem. But see, that's an irrational decision because it's going against your own best interest and doing something that is unhealthy or even destructive. If you have never done any drugs before and you're going to try to snort a line of coke because some hot chick offered it to you at a party, yeah, I'd question that decision making. But if you're going to cut out the fast food in your diet, or if you're going to take a dance class to try and meet women, and look, as long as you're going to enjoy it and it's something you want to do as well, I don't care how you prioritize the motivations. Just go out and be better. I mean, the only time that the whole external validation thing is really an issue is if you have zero confidence in yourself. Okay? There's an exception to prove the rule. If you have absolutely no confidence and you're going to go home at night beating yourself up and staring at yourself in the mirror wondering where your whole life went wrong because some girl didn't swoon over you, then you're going to want to go about building your confidence in another way. That's when you want to pick things that are internal validation. So back to the fitness example, don't worry about what you look like in the mirror or how other people perceive you. Tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to learn, I'm going to work with a trainer, I'm just going to pick up a basic weightlifting program, and I want to add 50 pounds to my bench press and 100 pounds to my deadlift in a year. Those are very attainable goals. It's actually sort of in line with what I'm doing for myself. See, one of the reasons I'm saying this is that I'm that guy, and so I didn't want to just come out here and say, you know, this is what I want to do, and get the words like simp and cuck thrown my way when I just don't think it's a good argument. So, look, yeah, I have a personal interest in making this point. It's not going to apply to all these videos, but there's a reason I'm doing this one first. I mean, well, let me just show off. Down one of those YouTube rabbit holes, I saw an old Elliot Hulse video where he said every man should have a lifting cave as opposed to a man cave. And with this, let's say mid-tier piece right here, I did not go top of the line. I'm not a rich man. But this is me putting my money where my mouth is and committing to making myself better. And yeah, I would not have spent the money to pick up the bench if I didn't think that I'd get laid a little bit more often as a result. If there was a way to do it without putting in any work, then I'd just do that, because it'd probably be easier and it'd probably be a lot safer. But hey, anything that you value in life is going to involve you taking on a little bit of risk in order to try and reach it and achieve it. So that's my take on the matter. You are free to agree, disagree, ask questions. That's what the comments here are for. I'll probably get a few names thrown at me before long, just given how the internet is. But I'm hopeful that after I've done this whole series that I can maybe not necessarily change anyone's mind, but at least offer another perspective, so that instead of just assuming that person is wrong or foolish or naive or whatever your thought might be, you can at least go, all right, I get where he's coming from. So what is it that I want to do with that? That I have my motivations for? And this goes into what I was saying before, the plans for the channel right now. With winter and cold setting in, I mean, the U.S. is getting hit with cold weather all over the eastern half of the U.S. I am going to be hitting that thing pretty hard. We're looking at probably 3 times a week, alternating. I have my workout plan set. I'm going to give it a try. If anybody actually wants to know what I'm doing, maybe wait for the end of the month to find out if it actually did anything for me, and then maybe I'll talk about it a bit more in depth. But yeah, and I'll be posting videos after each workout to do one of 3 things. I'm going to keep up this series, and it won't be quite as long-winded because I'll be able to dive right into the next topic of these logical fallacies in the red pill universe, basically. I'll come up with a title for the next one. And the second category of video will be just progress of how I'm doing in this and anything else. Basically, tonight I'm going to write down all the goals for this 30-day challenge that I'm setting for myself. It's not just going to be the weightlifting. There's going to be more to it. And then third, because it's freezing out, what I'm going to do probably on Sundays or Mondays is talk about my experience with that weekend, if I went out any nights, if I tried to talk to any girls, how that went, if any funny stories come up, I'll relay it, because I want some entertainment to come into the channel too. And maybe once the whole more serious conversation of, oh, what's wrong with the red pill comments series dies out, I'll lean things more in a comical direction. But that's everything for now. So thank you guys for watching the whole video. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I want to start interacting, and I want this thing to really take off. Again, this is Z with Six Pack Productions, signing out.